Welcome back, everyone. This is Griot of the Diaspora, and I am your host, Nakaira G. In today's episode, we are in South Africa and New Orleans at the same time. So basically, over the past week, there has been an argument on social media between South Africans and Black Americans from New Orleans. Apparently, there is now an issue with the Zulu parade, which has been going on for over 100 years. Let's talk about it. Okay, so I know I'm late to the game. I was on TikTok the other night and I saw the most bizarre videos that I have seen in a long time. The diaspora wars that come up literally every week on social media, it is so embarrassing. And it's so frustrating because it just seems like there's no room for an actual discourse. And it seems like some of these conversations that really shouldn't be held on social media are happening instead of in a formal, maybe type of setting. So let me break down what basically is going on. So the Zulu parade is a parade that has been going on since 1909. And from my research, I found that this parade was actually created because it was a response to the segregated original Mardi Gras celebration. Most people are very familiar with Mardi Gras out in New Orleans, and there was a time where only white people were allowed. And so the Zulu parade was created. But over the years, you didn't really hear much. It seemed like it was like a local thing, a national thing. If you know, you know. If you into it, you into it. But what I found really interesting is when I started looking at the photos, and you see it is, it's very costumey. You see people with black face, white face, it's just pretty much a mixture. It's a lot of color and things like that. And it also seems like it's kind of like a mixture of people as well. I don't know. I can't really tell if this is like an all black parade now in 2025 or if it just started off as a black parade. And so I don't really know the way that the original conversation between what South African and what Black American, I don't know what happened to make this a conversation, but all of the TikToks that I saw, it's just people saying, oh, they politely asked and the Black Americans responded like this. So take a look at this video.
Talk about this whole Zulu parade in America, bruv. I didn't know shit about it until now, so I did a little bit of digging. So apparently there is this parade that they've been doing for a very long time. It's called a Zulu parade. And African people, South Africans, because as you know, the Zulu tribe is in South Africa, they politely ask them to respect them because that's a disrespect to them and their culture. And there are some, let me say some, if you're not one of these Americans, keep quiet and listen. Some Americans who basically decided that they're going to ignore these people, say fuck off, and we're going to keep our parties anyways. And this is all I have to say to African people. Wherever in Africa you live, listen to what she has to say. You know how in the Bible it talks about how, God is very, very slow to anger, how he's such a patient God. I'm not telling you to be God because that's blasphemy. I'm telling you to mimic him. Be the exact same way. The same way God, you will be here doing your fuckery and God will give you 10, if not 20, if not 50, if not 100 years to keep doing your fuckery until one day he cracks, bruv. Be the exact same way. Be exactly like that and give them their time. Don't get angry, don't say nothing. Keep watching them as they say and do their fuckery. Because right now, America is on their high horse. They think that they're untouchable. And they don't understand that, you see, war is inevitable. You see how America is behaving to the point where China, Japan, and South Korea have now band together. Even the British government is over here trying to control steel manufacturing because they're learning from World War II when there was a shortage of motherfucking steel. Russia will invade. And war will start. And when war starts, they will need somewhere to go. And when that day comes, all you niggas have to do is remember every single time you asked them to respect you and they never did. They called you African booty scratchers. They were putting water in envelopes and cardboard boxes trying to post it to Africa. They came on here and disrespected your food and disrespected your culture and disrespected you. You asked them to stop labeling you as the Africans and they said fuck you and they keep doing it anyways. They went to Ghana and was twerking on Elmina Castle. Don't argue with them, nor do you try to educate them. You cannot educate the uneducatable. All you have to fucking do is remember.
So this is one of the more light videos that I saw, but I saw like over 50 videos of like South African TikTokers calling Black Americans body bags, bullet bags, making fun of school shootings, making fun of gang culture, like calling people drug addicts. Like I'm confused. I am so confused but I was honestly disgusted. Like I was honestly disgusted because I don't know if it's the algorithm, but I didn't see like a lot of the Black American rhetoric. I just saw people like responding to them. So I just thought this was really interesting because I'm like, who had this conversation? Because if you're telling me that this is a conversation that happened possibly between content creators, I'm really shocked that whatever happened led to what is going on social media, right? And so I kind of want to like talk about this whole Zulu parade in and of itself, because when you look at the photos, when you look at the history, you can say, okay, this does not represent the Zulu tribe in South Africa, right? Now, I also want to say that there are a lot of organizations in the States with the name Zulu in it, right? There is Zulu Nation. There are so many different like businesses, organizations, and things like that that are named after the Zulu tribe, I'm assuming in homage. And it's not necessarily something that is connected to the Zulu tribe. So I'm stuck on why 100+ years later, and why wasn't this a conversation in like a formal setting? Why wasn't this a conversation that was set up between some academic institutions? Why wasn't this even just maybe, I don't know, just some type of broadcast and some type of conversation? I don't know, Trevor Noah is in here. Why? I'm just confused. I'm just confused on how this became a sensation. So when you look at the state of South Africa, when you look at Black America, I mean, there is so many similarities in what Black Americans and what South Africans go through. You would think that there would be some type of camaraderie. And I noticed that Black Americans and South Africans have this very weird relationship with each other, because I feel like oftentimes Black Americans assume that Black South Africans understand them because of the proximity of whiteness, the being in places where the white population is either growing or predominant. But in South Africa, white people are not the predominant population, right? They're just the predominant shareholders of and stakeholders of the country. They own mostly all the land and most of the corporations, so there's this weird relationship where you would think Black Americans and Black South Africans were like in very clear communication. And it's situations like this where I just realized, like, some people just never gonna be free, because I don't understand how this is an argument, honestly. I'm really disappointed in the way that South Africans are responding. I don't know if this is something that everyone in South Africa is agreeing upon. Is this a conversation that was happening, and maybe it was happening internally and maybe it hadn't reached America yet? Is it just like a bandwagon type of thing now? Like, that's what I want to know. I want to know what's going on. Now, when you look at the photos, I'm gonna be real with you. It does look very caricature. You know, it looks blackface and whiteface is just something that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to defend. I don't care who's doing it. It's just very outdated, and it just comes from too much, and there's too much of a stigma. The only face paint that I allow is Tommy the Clown. Real quick, y'all, make sure you download my new ebook. It is a travel planner and journal. I made this about a year and a half ago, and it's really, really cool. There are 10 different entries. So as you are on your travel journeys, make sure you download this ebook. It's only $10, and you can get it on my website today at nakedgoldonline.com. You can download it, you can print it, whatever works for you. Make sure you cop that today. Honestly, anything other than that, it's usually problematic for me. But I really want this to be a teaching moment for South Africans, because I feel like there are going to be so many different situations like this as time goes on, right? This is it's not similar to, but it just reminds me of the situation with Tyler, with the whole, Black Americans not understanding the word color. And not really necessarily not understanding it, because we do understand it. We just have a different understanding of it. And the acceptance of it that happens in South Africa, where it is still considered a classification of identity. I think that this is a real teachable moment for those of you who are interested in dispelling diaspora wars. Those of you who are secretly hateful and xenophobic and Afrophobic, I'm not here to change you. But for people who actually really care about each other and really try to practice Pan-Africanism and really try not to fall into these different distractions, to me, honestly, I think all of these things are COINTELPRO, honestly. I think all of these little social media beefs, it looks like COINTELPRO to me. It looks like an industry plan. It looks like the fact that it's South Africa out of all countries, when America is literally going through the Great Depression because of a South African in our country, and the fact that this is now the opportunity for the Black poor people in both countries to argue with each other on social media. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Now, I can't say that it's up to me on if the Zulu parade should continue or not, but what I do think is that this is an opportunity for there to be some virtual conferences. I think that there are enough professors, there are enough universities, there are enough organizations that can definitely put together some town halls, some conferences about this particular issue, get some prominent leaders in South Africa and in Black America, particularly in New Orleans, particularly members of this particular organization and parade, and just have a conversation. That's it. I think that we owe each other that. It's what disgusts me the most is that I don't know if anybody needs to say this, but Black Americans didn't enslave y'all. Okay? I know that y'all use the Black Americans, they're going to do what Liberia did. I know that that's something that just runs rampant in the language here, but it's just something that to always remember that Black Americans are not your enemy. We don't own all of your land. We are nowhere near a threat compared to the people who have been a threat to you guys' countries for the past 1,000 years. So I really wish that this type of stuff would give space to actual conversation instead of it going through this weird argument online and resulting in people now making fun of Black American children dying at young ages. Y'all really believe that was a good response to some people disagreeing with the Zulu parade being annexed. That was your response. Responses like that means that's how you already felt. And that's how you deeply feel. Because there's no reason to say that. there's just no reason to say that. And we all know that if a Black American responds, it would be low-hanging fruit. I found that to be really, really crazy. And I want to close this out with this video by Wodemaya, who had a conversation with this gentleman in South Africa about the current state of South Africa. Let's take a look.
Total change of the constitution. A total change is needed. We don't have a land.
But this is your land.
We don't have an economy. The economy is in the few hands up until now.
Would you say that South Africa is free?
It's not. If it is not, we don't hate white people, but it is unfair for them to take everything, the minds and everything, and force our leaders to deny that even Freedom Charter had a part that talks about nationalization. And the leader says that there is nothing of that sort. What is that type of a thing? That's why I wish sometimes to die.
So you see this guy talking about the state of South Africa, saying that the Constitution needs to change, saying that white people own everything, saying that, you know, he fears that there's a revolution, and he even mentions how he wishes to pass away because of how dire the situation is for many South Africans, particularly Black South Africans, right? And, you know, I said in my video about Mr. Beast, you know, I don't know what it is, but this thing of like highlighting the rich areas of Africa, you know, we really have to be careful about putting the rich areas of these different countries on a pedestal, because majority of the time, those are non-African people. And if they are African people, they are politicians, they are all these different things, you know, and it doesn't necessarily reflect on the rest of the country, you know. And so I feel like with this situation, I feel like this is a select few or group of people, but I really just hope that in the future and with this situation, we learn how to actually have discourse and formal discourse, since none of us know each other, instead of these informal platforms. And I think that there needs to be so much more grace for everyone on all ends, you know, way more grace, you know, because what someone is okay with in one country and what someone is okay with in another country, it might be a disagreement. You know what I mean? But I feel like there's a compromise to everything. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Until next time.